What's up, guys? Welcome to a how to build in Minecraft actual full-fledged tutorial, not like a little meme one like I have done in the past. But hopefully you guys do enjoy it. It's really like in-depth little tutorial all about how to improve your builds and how to actually structure your builds better than start off with something really simple but can really help enhance your Minecraft building capabilities, whether it is on a flatter build or on a more dimensional build. But what I will say is you guys should add texture. So adding a variety of different blocks that mesh well with the block really helps expand its detailing capabilities. Like as you can see here, we got some cracked stone brick, some polished andesite, and I believe we have some regular stone brick in here too. And we have all of these pallets mixed together, and it helps really help allow it to actually look like a real lived in and walked on road or pathway, rather than it just looking like a generic pathway that lacks any kind of character and doesn't stand out at all when you're trying to build any kind of thing, whether you're trying to build a build or a pathway or a road. That it's something that you guys should really look at when you are doing your roads and your pathways, as well as any types of builds. It's texturing. Because if you guys see here, this road is very plain. You can see it's got not a lot of characters. It's just some literal white lines, some yellow concrete, or terracotta, and some concrete or terracotta for the road. But over here, you can see, whilst it follows along that very simple little idea, this one has a little yellow cross section in the middle, which allows it to feel like an actual road rather than it just, and this had some like grit and some dirt on there and some little rails. So like this small little details like this can really help elevate any kind of build, and it really helps allow it to stand out. And also texturing on builds. You guys, there's so many different palettes. If you guys want me to make a whole separate video on how to palette your builds in Minecraft, let me know down below. But granite and brick and terracotta work really well together, as well as sandstone and endstone, and all the sandstone variants always work well together. That's a great one that I always, as one of my go-to palettes, guys. I recommend sandstone and endstone together, and terracotta, brick, and granite so badly. It is such an easy palette to perfect. And honestly, also, what I will say about texturing your builds is you guys should also allow to be a little bit experimental. You should add in not only that, but you should add in some actual ancient debris. Yes, guys, I'm saying it. Ancient debris works really well because it adds that grittiness and that texture to the blocks. It does stand out, but I believe it helps makes the build elevate beyond just like a generic, like it blends in too much. Like this adds character to it, in my personal opinion. But you guys can let me know what you think about that particular take in the comment section down below. But let's go, before we get into that, let's quickly show you guys a prime, really good example of how we have this building here that does not necessarily look like it has any curvature in it at all, and it's pretty rectangular in structure, but actually goes inwards on the windows. This allows it to have an element of depth without it necessarily requiring you to reshape your whole build. And I recommend it to all new and intermediate builders that do not want to go ahead and change the whole shape of their builds yet, and they are still early stages of learning. Is curving the build inwards. Like, it helps add a lot of character to the build. It helps elevate it and make it stand out from anything else in your world, whether that be a city build or whatever. It really helps elevate and allows you to expand your potential as a builder. And it helps really create this like really cool little effect, and it helps actually make your build feel alive, rather than it just look generic and it not standing out at all. Like, some of these builds here might look a little bit less standouty. Like, if you guys don't have any kind of elevation or dividation in your build to allow for it to have any unique features. Like this one here, for instance, is a really good example of that. Whilst you guys can see here, we've done quite a bit of texturing on this. You guys can see that it doesn't necessarily stand out, but it does. The windows do poke out. However, the build shape itself doesn't have any curvature or uniqueness. It is a square, it is flat, but that is also why you guys can add in simple, like even on simple builds like this, right? Ignore minus the texturing, right, guys? But you guys can see even adding in a little design, really nice little stair and stone brick. I mean, stair and a fence and and slab design to your builds can really help just like create some kind of like detailing into your builds, even when your build isn't the most detailed build in the world. It can help elevate your build from being a really flat and really generic to having a little bit of character about it. Even if you were to do something like adding iron gates and stuff like underneath like each of your window sections to help elevate the build, or you can add some stairs into the pillars of your windows to help elevate it, to add some texturing to your builds. There is so much you guys can do to allow it for it. You can even you can also even shape it, so you can have over here, which we're going to go to now, is we're going to actually talk about reshaping your builds. While some of you may think builds like this is good, and yes, some of these builds can be very good in any kind of world, but what I will say is that doing just rectangular or square buildings in your Minecraft worlds doesn't really allow you to reach your full potential as a builder. So if you guys are really wanting to elevate your builds to the next level, what you guys are going to need to do is you guys are going to need to be able to creatively expand outside of the box and be a little bit more open to trying out different shapes and sizes of your builds. And a tip I would recommend when you're doing your shapes is you always make sure that the shape is odd, so you guys don't have anything flat looking and it doesn't look evenly split. And you can have a nice doorway that is odd on the exterior, which I think will look really. It looks so much nicer, guys, than just doing a generic flat build that is symmetrical on all four sides, because it then doesn't allow you to have any character within your builds. And over here is a really good example of a build that, whilst it may not have executed to be the best thing in the world, it never got finished because this world is from a while back. But I'm using this world as an example for you guys on YouTube, so you guys can see a prime example of how to shape your builds a little bit differently whilst meeting an execution that is different and stands out in your worlds. So as you can see, it started off being a pretty flat rectangular type of structure here. But then as it went along, I developed it and turned it into like a curved kind of Japanese, like kind of inspired like a Chinese, like just like a corner street kind of like shopping little area. And as you can see, it curves all the way around. You guys can see it curves all the way around. There is not really a lot of flat points. And this creates quite a unique shape because it isn't flat, but it's quite curved, which really helps elevate it and immediately makes it pop and stand out in a build. Compared to this build, for instance, right next to it that is rectangular, this build has curves and circular angles to it, which allows it to stand out on its own and draw the attention of the person looking at its eye more to this build than maybe to that build that a lot of people may like a little bit more than this one, even though it is way more simple. And this is where this next step comes in. Pre-plan your dimensions of your build before building it. Now, this is something that I have run into numerous times over the past, God knows how many years I've been building in Minecraft with all different types of builders, as well as building my own creations. This build is a really good example of this when me and my old friend was building this build together, this like museum type build. This build originally was hitting the block height. So the roof could never be finished because we went too high when building this. We went too high when building the roof for this build, and at the time, this was before the height limit got increased. We couldn't actually finish the build because the roof was too high up, and then we didn't know where else to cut out, so we couldn't really do anything at the time, which therefore ruined what otherwise would have been a really cool build. And as you can see here, this build also is quite rectangular, but it makes use of like it divides and like shapes like the curvature windows just to like differentiate it a little bit compared to just like a generic cardboard box of a box type build. But basically, so yes, this is a big tip. Make sure you plan roughly how wide it's going to be and possibly how high it's going to go up as well. Probably best to do how high it goes, and try and create like a skyline. If you're doing like a city, for instance, try and create like a skyline so you can really make the person playing in your world feel like they are either really small or really like to sides with the builds. Or if you're trying to do a map. And a bonus tip for you guys, basically, make sure you guys have a build theme. Make sure you have your build theme clearly defined on what you want your build themes to be in particular areas, whether this is for a city world or for an adventure map or so on and so forth. Make sure your themes all blend well together or can look nice together in your Minecraft world. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Let me know if you guys want me to make a video on any build tutorial tips and tricks in particular, and I will happily do so. I thank you all so much for watching this. Hope you really enjoyed this video, and let me know your feedback down below, and I will see you guys in my next Minecraft tutorial. Bye bye, guys.